Welcome back, folks, to Fourth Watch, aka Fae Watch, covering Fourth Wing.
Wow.
This is our third and final episode. I'm sure that's going to be very sad for some of you. I'm sure some of you are already over our bickering about it, but don't worry, we've got another episode full of it coming to you right now. This is Dina here with my pals, Will and Rachel. And we are gonna, talk about some war. We're gonna talk about some sex. We're gonna, talk about some college dragon rider murder cadets. And we're gonna just enjoy the ride.
Oh, yes.
As if we're flying on the back of a giant dragon and they have us magically strapped in so that we can't fall.
Oh, yeah.
Am I the dragon?
Oh my god, you are, Will.
Hot.
Yeah, Will is...
And we're magically strapped into you.
Will's flying us on his... No, you are the dragon.
Okay.
You're flying. We've made the point.
Yeah, I think they get it. Okay, so we left off. We won a competition.
Color Wars.
We got a field trip. The field trip ended up being to Little Outpost Way Station where Mira, sister of Violet, is working. So that was cute. That was fun. Mm-hmm. A fun little boy spat. Like, we have to get our boy spats in. There's a fun little public boy spat at the...
Oh my god, is this the dick measure?
Yeah. So Mira is trying to give them some hypothetical, war game situations or whatever, and they're all sitting around a table. Xaden, mind you, as we noted at the very end of last episode, popped up unannounced, kind of uninvited. As you might expect, Dane he's not thrilled about it.
No.
And so Xaden is like, oh, just pretend I'm not even here, Dane. Like, why don't you be in charge for this exercise? We all know you want my job.
That was funny. That was cute.
It's funny. It's definitely funny because it's in front of everyone. So his cheeks are flaming red. And it's kind of fucked up because Xaden clearly wanted this job too. But, whatever.
Right.
So Violet is telling Xaden not to be a dick. And then he responds, "You haven't even seen me start to be a dick," but does so in her head.
Ooh, mind speaking.
In her head. I fucking love mind speaking.
He starts mind speaking to her. She cannot yet reciprocate. So he's just sort of sending little thoughts to her while Dane is talking out loud.
Which again is just asserting his dominance. You know what I mean?
I know. It's so funny. Not funny. I feel kind of... This feels like such a thing where in a love triangle where Dane, I don't think he's sort of subconsciously realizing that Violet is maybe shifting towards Xaden.
Yeah.
And Xaden and Violet are having all these little conversations behind his back basically and flirting sort of about him, even though it would break his heart if he heard any of it.
Yeah.
So Dane's going off. He's like, you wanted to kill her in front of this room of other people. So it's just a normal conversation all around. And Violet, this is what I was saying, sort of joined Xaden. And she's like, we all know how much you like being squad leader, Dane. So why don't you be the leader?
I mean, he really does not like him probably before all the Violet stuff. And now he's just trying to make him look bad. But it is kind of working.
Yeah, Mira and everyone else are like, what's happening here? And yeah, someone's like, okay, stop measuring your dicks.
But legitimately says that.
Yeah.
That was I guess this is a thing where it's the modern language or whatever. But sometimes I just appreciate when people say the thing out loud.
Yes, it's said out loud by some grown-up writer. So whatever, they have this spat. Mira sort of takes Violet aside and gives her some sage big sister advice and says, don't let Xaden drag you around. Because there's this whole issue of Xaden's about to graduate, and if their dragons can't be kept apart, is she going to have to leave school early, basically all the time, to be with him when he's on the front lines? And she's like, don't let him drag you around or you will literally be living in his shadow. It's oh, wow.
Wow.
What a metaphor.
Yeah, it's so fitting.
When they're arguing about, oh, she's gonna follow after him the whole time, doesn't he steps in and he's like, hello, like, I'm here. I didn't make her come back.
Yeah.
Like, I showed up here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that works on Mira, but it worked on me personally. I was like, oh my God, you're right. Wow. Way to like fully think of your partner as equal and like be willing to also compromise and sacrifice for them, even though you are a man.
Wow.
10 points.
Woke bae.
10 points.
He does do that. That is a nice little clap back. Mira, one must say, normally Mira seems to have a really good head on her shoulder, a bit blinded to the rebel of it all. Although, is it?
I don't know. Yeah, who knows what she knows and what she doesn't.
Anyway, the drama gets interrupted because Taryn announces that there is a, quote, drift, which I think is what you call a group of griffins on the way to the outpost. And it's like your classic heroine. Violet's like, I must stay, even though I like have minimal training and can't stay on my dragon and whatever. And the boys are like stumbling all over each other to make sure she leaves. And she ends up leaving in part because Xaden kisses her to distract her while like Taryn, her dragon, comes to pick her up.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna hate you forever for this, but like, spoiler alert, not really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
No.
A little deceptive. I wonder if that's indicative of any other deceptions that are afoot. Who can say?
Certainly us in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. So we return home to cozy death school. Things are sort of heating up. We're like confessing our infatuation to one another. We're talking in our heads in the middle of class. Our girl learns how to kind of talk back. It's very cute. We are toying with the boys because despite the fact that she's clearly going towards Xaden, she still has some lingering moments of Dane stuff happening. So
Right. He was her best friend her whole life.
yeah. So for instance, when she learns that Mira survived the Griffin attack on the outpost that she was forced to run away from, she's with Xaden and Dane, and she like collapses out of relief into Dane's arms, and like Xaden can't handle it, so he leaves.
Storms off. Yeah.
Love.
Guys, don't you know, true love just means boys having little spats about you all the time.
I do sort of think that is what true love is.
In your experience.
Yeah. Anyway.
Boys having wee spat.
So, you know, it's kind of, we're still doing all our normal things. We get to the next big event in the school year, and that is basically capture the flag.
Which I didn't get, because like there was like the squad battle, but then this is like also a squad battle, but it's like a different one.
I think orientation had to be like pretty extensive because there's a lot of ground to cover. Anyway, yeah, the different wings are fighting or capturing each other's flags, etc., etc.
Which, can I say, I do love when there's dragon capture the flag, and we have seen this before, Rachel. I guess it was wyvern capture the flag.
I skipped those chapters, but yeah.
I can't, even with you today.
I know, I'm sorry.
Rachel, get it together.
I know.
Okay, well, read Throne of Glass, please. Again, listeners, stand with me on this.
Oh my god, you're so disgusted.
I
with
know,
both of us.
but it's like dragon/wyvern capture the flag. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Xaden went out of his way to make a harness, a saddle, so that she can ride her dragon without falling off, which is nice and thoughtful, and you would think obvious, but whatever.
No, I think like she's really stressed because she's like accommodations like mean I'm weak or whatever, and I feel like both Taryn and Xaden are very much like, no, like get over it. Like this is gonna help you. This is gonna help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, Dane too.
Yeah.
Dane is like, yeah, I'm here for it. But Taryn honestly gives a kind of rousing speech about how equity requires equal access to opportunity, and we're here for it, and we love it.
Wow.
Yeah, our little crotchety grandpa dragon.
Yeah, he's great. But yeah, so it is true Dane is he's into the saddle, but he and Xaden, even though they agree on the merits of the saddle, still take the opportunity to kind of get into another little
Spat.
Yeah, what'd I say? Spite.
Yeah.
A little spat. So they're flying and capture the flag. And even though they're supposed to be on defense, Violet and her dragons end up finding the other team's like little base with the egg that you're supposed to capture. And as they do so, dragons launch from the base to attack them, including Psycho Killer Jack, and his dragon, who... Oh, okay, this is also, like... I don't think we've actually had indications of this until the dragons get into play. Like, this is some, I don't know what, like, Marvel... Like, people are jumping from dragons onto other dragons in the middle of the air with, like, insane acrobatics, you know? It's like...
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style, you know?
Yeah, it's like kind of
so, like,
crazy.
Jack, like, whatever.
Right.
Probably does, like, a double flip.
A double twisting layout.
Jack, like, kicks Liam off his dragon. He's falling to his death.
Oh,
Andara, or whatever.
Andarna
uses magic time power so that Taryn and Violet can go scoop him up. But Violet is, like, furious and filled with rage.
Wait, and so, okay, so we have a young heroine with latent magical powers, and we have her overcome with anger and rage and emotion.
Indeed.
What could happen next?
What could happen indeed. And what happens is she smotes him. She has the power of lightning, and she unleashes it and just zaps him to wee little death. Sort of in cold blood, if I'm being honest. Because he, like, it's true he just attacked her friend, but he's, at this point, like, the friend has been saved, and he is just standing on the little base.
William, he's tried to kill her like 12 fucking times.
I don't think it's... Yeah, no, that's right. I think in the moral arc of the universe, it's totally fine that he was killed. But she gets back, and she's doing her, like, what everyone, I think, after their first kill does.
No, we all go through it.
I don't know from experience.
Yeah, no.
But
Yeah, sorry, Will. Could you say more about that?
For legal purposes, we are joking.
I think it's like, you're, like, sort of torn up about it. And everyone's like, you didn't have a choice. You did what you have to in order to save your friend. I'm kind of like, no. The using the time stop power to pick your friend up out of the air, that's what you did to save your friend. This was just revenge. And, like, maybe from a utilitarian perspective, you can justify it. But, like, you didn't have to kill him.
Right.
I stand with Violet in these times against haters of all kinds.
It's fine that she did it.
I know. No, it makes sense that she feels that way. Also, it's like, okay, get over it because you're a lightning wielder and that's cool and you should be excited about that.
Right. Well, so this predictably leads to another little tussle between Dane and Xaden. And honestly, this is a good indication of what we were talking about last episode, Rachel, because Dane is like, don't worry, you never have to use it again if you don't want to. And Xaden's like, don't coddle her. And then, like, 10 minutes later, they're talking again. And he's like, you will only kill as many as you choose. Just because you gain power doesn't mean you lost agency. And it's like, is that not exactly what Dane was saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like Dane was, like, trying to be like, no, it's okay. Like, never use it. Like, it's fine. And Xaden was more like, you do what you want to do. I think that was different.
Some fine line cutting.
Oh my God. I wish you all could see their faces at me. They just are not having it at all.
Anyway, this is mostly exciting and important because it finally leads to what we've been waiting for 2 episodes now, which is sex.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is shorter than what we did 15 episodes.
Oh, in Crescent City? Yeah. And never got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Violet goes to her room to brood over her first murder, which, again, kind of classic.
Yeah, who among us?
She wants to be alone, but does she? Xaden seems to have a sense that she does not, because he knocks at her door. And thank God, because we get our sexy time as a result.
Wow.
Ah, thank God.
It's like, you know, whatever. The classic interlude here, like, I don't want to be alone, something, something. So he's pinning her to the wall. And he's going for all these really, some might call them classic, others cliche, bad boy lines. He's like, this isn't what you want. I'm telling you that I'm the last thing you need.
Don't fall for me.
You'll hate me in the morning. Don't fall for me.
Oh, yeah, I did hate that. I'm like, guys, don't do that.
It's also such a red flag when people do that, because you have to have such a high opinion of yourself to think that you're going to, like, destroy someone's world by having sex with them once.
Just don't fall for me.
Trust me, like, I'm so bad. Oh, God, yeah.
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 But I do love in this moment, before anything happens, when she's slinging daggers at the target, and he's like, oh my God, that's so hot.
God.
Yeah, but he like says it. It's just like, God, just keep it to yourself. Ugh.
But we don't get his POV, Rach. We need him to say things occasionally.
Okay, she does wrap her legs around his waist again because remember, big height difference.
They love
Yeah.
height differential.
So our petite queen loves it. There is a lot of sort of descriptions about the mouth interplay,
Oh, please do read them out loud for Rachel, Will.
including, quote, strokes of his wicked tongue,
That's okay. I mean, that's standard.
thrusts of the tongue, specifically of the tongue thrusts. Quote, he captures my mouth in a hungry assault.
I'm okay with that one.
Okay. There's some, I mean, I don't love them. I'm trying not to be a hater, but they're not egregious. There's something somewhere about like licking. He like licks my mouth or something. Like he like I don't know.
He's like, he's like biting her ear. It's getting whatever. Obviously, she can feel his length through the leathers. And I thought, like, we didn't get a lot of other detail. And I was like, oh, is this sort of like just an average sized shadow king?
Yeah.
But no, we later learned that it's of a, quote, thick length. So I think we can just assume the standard terms apply.
Yeah, I think we could assume it's considerable as well.
I think we can. I think
The
we can.
industry standard, I think, applies.
Yeah.
But they proceed to break rule number 1.
They do. Well, yes. So, first of all, I will just say, he says something about, like, whenever you walk into a room, I get hard, which seems, like, really uncomfortable. There's ample use of the CL word, which
Yeah.
is new.
Can I just clarify for once and for all? Will, do you know what the actual C word is?
Yeah. Wait, which one? Yes.
Like when people say the C word.
Yeah. You made a joke once about it being the other thing.
I know. I just want to make sure that you do.
Okay, thank you for looking out for me.
Okay. Because I don't want you going around and be like, oh, the C word, but it's like the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have a third. We have the CL.
The CL word.
A lot.
Which I shan't
And it's
utter.
like, geez, buy me a drink first, Rebecca. Like, good Lord, all of a sudden it's clit this, clit.
No, listen, I think she's making it quite clear. Nobody can say that he doesn't know where it is.
He knows
He knows.
exactly where it is.
It's 23 years. He has at least learned that much.
Obviously, there's like some mid-fuck mind speaking.
Oh, okay. Didn't pick that up in the audiobook.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So it's true that I would say technically this comports with the Romanticy Codex, maybe, but like not really, because she does get hers first. And in fact, she gets her like many times she gets hers first.
Right.
Through
Yeah.
like a non-full on sort of bat. Well, I guess it is.
Is it not penetration?
The first time it's fingers.
Oh, okay. So we are following all articles of the Codex here.
Well, it's supposed to be a separate occurrence.
And like it's not.
Like Violet and her daggers, we can bend the rules.
I was gonna say, like Violet and her creative interpretations of the Codex, I think she would be able to sort of argue her way out of this one because it's basically keeping to what we've laid down in law.
Right.
But yeah, she's a multiple orgasm girly.
Can I just say, I was reading some posts on Reddit, on the Fourth Wing subreddit, not specifically like about the sex scene, but just on a larger issue, but this came up, and someone, I think genuinely just like unironically was fully like, yeah, and I love how she comes multiple times, like it feels so good to have representation. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, like representation for the poor girlies out there who are just like coming left, right, and center. And like, finally, there's representation for women who can come really easily. Yeah, no, we definitely don't have that in like all books and movies. First of all,
It's
like,
those suffering from a surplus of orgasms like finally have their day in literature.
yeah, like wow, you can't be what you can't see. Like, finally, I have like permission to be myself and just like come a bunch of times. Like, so brave. Thank you, Violet, for like putting yourself out there.
So vulnerable.
As she's doing she's getting there multiple times. Obviously, her lightning is like flashing in the room outside. She can't control her power. We sort of proceed apace, although there is a quick pause to confirm they get oral verification from each of them that they both are taking their fertility suppressants.
Oh, God.
Thank you. That's so important. You got to get it out there at some point. That's one of my favorite things of the fantasy genre.
Yeah.
The phrasing, like, I always love when they, like, come up with the various types of phrasings for it.
Oh, yeah.
Like for your modern pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking their suppressant, and it's again, like a better world than we have because there's male oral birth control or whatever, presumably.
Yeah, and evidently it like covers STDs as well.
I just feel like if you're creating a fantasy world, that's got to go in there. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we get into kind of the main deal. And let's just say he's like a slammer. You know, he's kind of a slammer. He's slamming.
Like to the extent that they
like,
break all of the furniture?
Yeah, they're slamming and jackhammering into the armoire, into the desk, onto the floor.
Ooh, maybe he is 23 after all.
Oh no.
That is like 100%. It's just like what book was it? Pistoning. It's like
God.
Pistoning.
This is not a sweet, tender, taking your time kind of thing.
No.
Would you have rather it been Will? Answer me honestly. No. The answer is no.
No, I have no judgment about it. I'm just trying to convey what happened. So she gets several. He gets his own. Their power is being used.
Well, obviously, like you were saying, Will, with her sexual frustration was a metaphor for her powers being frustrated. Then in this moment,
Oh my gosh, yes.
it's like, obviously she's getting hers, but then she's also getting hers powers.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where she's like fully overcome and he's like, it's okay, like, I've got you. And then all of this lightning burns everything in the room and outside of the room.
Yeah, they set the curtains on fire. She's had such a big day. Like, I could not, like, I don't know, whatever. She had 5 orgasms and she, like, used the power of lightning to smote someone.
Was this the same day?
Or Emily.
Yeah, this is the same night. This is the night after. The night of.
I like at the end, then Zane's like, all right, let's get you cleaned up.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, like, what the fuck? Can't we say something else? Like, he's like, all right, time to go get cleaned up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, can't we just say, like, time to go draw thy bath for you, should you wish for it? But he's like, all right, let's mop it up. Like what the fuck?
Oh, man.
He does agree to sleep over, which she didn't expect. So that's kind of big.
Wow, huge.
Yeah.
Huge for the girlies out there when the guy doesn't fucking ditch immediately.
So they have some pillow talk. We learn that the scar. So he has 107 scars on his back, one for every rebel kid, because we learned that when he was 16 or something, he struck a deal with the government that if any of the rebel children betray the country, his life will be forfeit.
Because he's the oldest among them, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right, but weren't the choices you can either die or you can get all of these things, and if one of them fucks up, then you die? Weren't those the 2 options?
I mean, I don't think there were a lot of good options.
Yeah, but it's just like, if those are your 2 options, then yeah, obviously you're taking the second one. But
Yeah, I was under the impression he, for some reason, struck this deal. But yeah, I guess that's right.
Yeah.
I think there was some argument over whether they were just going to kill all the kids or
Summarily kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, this is where he's like, don't fall for me.
don't fall for me.
I'm too dangerous.
Okay, so moving forward, it gets, honestly, this part was just like, okay, we get it. They're doing their like performative. We are like not gonna hook up. I can't give my heart to you and you can't give your heart to me. And like, he's being kind of a fuck. He's like a little fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's damaged.
Yeah, he's damaged.
And he doesn't deserve love.
He's keeping his disty.
And also he maybe has some giant secrets that he's keeping from her that are probably, hopefully making him feel really guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the most, it's like this back and forth, I forget what page it's on. It's like a cringe festival of epic proportions, because she's like, I'm not thinking about you thrusting into me. And he's like, yeah, and I'm not going to think about your mouth. And they just like go back and forth to each other.
This is like maybe in class.
Out loud, not even in their heads.
Oh, this is out loud. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I think it's out loud.
They definitely are doing similar thing in their minds. In the middle of class.
That's the vibe. So they're depriving themselves of one another. At one point, she's like, Xaden is a master of containing his emotions. And I'm like, girl, no.
Yeah, no. Boys compartmentalizing is not
good.
Yeah.
An important detail. is the day after their kind of tantric sex, they like return back to her room to clean it up because it's a fucking disaster.
Oh, yeah.
And they find they've knocked her books to the ground, including her like favorite folklore book that her dad gave her. And like a note slips out of the binding, and it basically is like something cryptic from her dad about how like the things you think are myths are like not myths, they're real. We'll get to that in a bit. My thing is though, like, but for their sort of wild sex, she never would have found this.
Wow. Wow. See, sometimes sex can be critical to the plot, okay?
Yeah, it was truly vital here.
By the way, guys, I just want to share that my mom woke up and walked by as we were discussing the sex scene.
Love it.
Oh, good.
And I just like imagine hearing only 1/3 of our conversation without any context whatsoever.
Anywho, graduation is nigh. It's like 10 days away. And there's like a government-sponsored party with the king and all the generals that everyone has to get dressed up for.
I love a government-sponsored party.
Yeah, so everyone gets in their nice little outfits. Yeah, and it's like you're mingling with all the other army quadrants too. And so everyone's like, finally, like, I've had too much sex with the same people in here for the past year. Like, we get a new crew that we can just climb like a tree.
Yep.
Yeah, that is fun.
So we're schmoozing reluctantly. Superboy Liam comes, even though it's obvious that it's shitty for him because he's a rebel and everyone's very judgmental about the rebels.
And yeah, it just sucks for Liam and any of the rebels to be around the people who murdered their parents.
Right.
Well, it's also like the ball is like the, anniversary of some shit. Like Victory Day or whatever. Like,
Oh, did not pick up on that.
A+ in fourth wing class today, Rachel.
Thank you. Somebody's been paying attention. I think it's like the anniversary of their parents dying or something.
Oh, it is. You're right. It is. Because that's why they're all broody.
That explains what Xaden's up to. Anyway, so Dane is nice, ? And makes a distraction so that Liam and Violet can like scurry up the steps and leave the party because they're not having any fun there. But we can get back to it. We'll come back. We'll revisit. So sort of like pent up Violet goes to find Xaden, who is brooding in the middle of the parapet. It makes a lot more sense now. I didn't know that it was the anniversary of all their parents being murdered. I was like, well, okay, dude, just like, why are you out in the middle of this like death bridge? Like, get over yourself.
Like, take a break from brooding for like one day.
Yeah.
But like maybe not that day.
Yeah.
They decide they're going to give it the old college try of a relationship with what little time they have left. And this time they go to his room.
Hey.
And sort of like dive right back into it. She, crucially, drops the love bomb on him.
No. Oh my god. It was... Violet, what are you doing, girl? First, you're out on a fucking parapet chasing this dude.
In her, like, dress, maybe heels.
Yeah. And then she's word vomiting, like, while they're having sex, like, I love you. Ooh, sorry, I should have said that. I love you, I love you. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and he doesn't reciprocate. He does go down on her. That's, like, his response to I love you, which is...
equal in measure, if not in, No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, oh god, like just keep it secret. Come on, be more like dysfunctional and keep your feelings to yourself.
Yeah, but like vulnerability is strength, etc., etc.
Vulnerability is strength, Rachel.
Wow, it's not just physical strength.
Exactly. It's almost like as if these things might be connected. Sorry, that I just really did some vocal fry for the vocal fry haters out there. Just trying to be one of you.
To join us, yeah, thanks. I mean, he does seem to appreciate it because he's like, all right, we're going to get you to 4 or 5 orgasms tonight. But they only get to 2 before someone knocks on the door.
Tragedy.
They're like, whatever, red alert, muster. And they like have to leave and get dressed.
What does he say? Isn't it like somebody knocks on the door and he's like...
I mean, it's like the classic, I'll kill you, like I'm busy.
Someone better be fucking dead if you're trying to interrupt me right now. Like,
yeah.
They love to say that.
Yeah, I do feel like in these books, like, you wonder if, like, the males spend sort of time coming up with things they're gonna say when they're interrupted having sex
right.
to, like,
do they
prove how horny they are.
Yeah, do they each have, like, a little notebook and they just, like, share their little, and then I tried that
like,
one.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so virile that, like, if you interrupt me having sex, like, I'm gonna have to murder you. But anyway, they go downstairs, they get into their cute little lines in the main field. Violet is wearing Xaden's jacket, which Rhiannon has to keep, like, draping her hand over her shoulder so various people, including Dane, won't notice that she clearly has Xaden's jacket on.
Oh, right, because you know what? Nobody's scenting. There's no scenting happening here.
There's no scenting happening. That's true.
No, there's... I'll give Rebecca that.
We get a break from the scenting.
A post-scenting world.
We do love a wearing of the jacket.
Yeah.
You know, stealing of the hoodie, this is a canon event.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, oh, what? I didn't think anyone would realize. And Rhiannon is like, yeah, well, it has like, oh, that symbol and that symbol.
Basically has his name tag on it.
It's like, yeah, Riorsan in like big letters across the back, like a fucking football jersey.
Yeah.
Lol. So Dane's dad is announcing that they're gonna basically like LARP. They're gonna have like a bigger version of Capture the Flag.
Yeah.
They're pretending some invasion is happening and they're all have to get drafted early. So they're all gonna be sent to like different outposts. Crucially, the commanders of each wing are, one, assigned somewhere to go specifically, which I guess other people are not, and two, get to kind of make their own little HQ squad. Shockingly, of course, Xaden picks Violet, ostensibly for dragon mating reason.
Of course, he has to.
Yeah, they're forced. Dane is like peeved about it because they're going to Abathine.
Great. Sounds good to me. Oh, Athabine.
They're going to Athabine.
Yeah.
Which is outside the wards, so it's like dangerous.
Yeah, the griffins could be there.
Yeah. And in our kind of our last boy fight of the book, Violet puts her hand on Xaden and gives the game away because Dane finally seems to clock it and he gets all sad boy.
Honestly, it's like, Dane, you should have picked this up months ago.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, we'll get to it. Query, maybe he did, but he's like, if he's what you choose, then I guess it has to be good enough for me. Melodramatic king over here.
Also, like, the self-victimization.
His heart's broken.
When he's obviously been, like, stealing her memories, sir.
Yeah, we'll maybe get to that.
Okay.
You'll have your comeuppance against Justice for Dane Hood.
Hashtag no more justice for Dane.
Yeah. They fly all day, and they get to a lake right next to the outpost that they are going to. Violet and Xaden sort of, like, walk over to a cave and start to get a little frisky again, and one wonders, like, ooh, are we gonna get a little, like, cave scene? We've had some good ones in the past.
Cheeky.
As they're, like, nuzzling, Xaden suddenly pulls up short because, two griffin riders have popped up.
Oh.
And it turns out that these griffin, I guess they're actually called flyers, know Xaden because he has been smuggling them weapons.
Betrayal.
Made out of some special material they have in Navarre. And, in fact, he's not even been alone. Everyone who's in his squad, Violet realizes, is a rebel and knows about this, as do both of Violet's dragons. So basically, everyone has been lying to her, and we'll get to that in a second. So it turns out that, surprise, surprise, the kind of mythic bad guys, like monsters that are just supposed to be nighttime stories for children, the Venin, are real. They can only be killed by these special daggers, so that's what Xaden has been smuggling to the Griffin Riders. The monsters can't get past the wards, so they can't attack Navarre, and the ruling body of Navarre is content to let the rest of the world burn, basically. But Xaden's, like, too much of a stand-up guy. The Griffin people have come to report that a group of Venin are headed to the trading post near the fort they were heading to, and so they came by to give them a heads up. Anyway, Violet is understandably sort of agog and aghast.
Yeah.
Because everyone has lied to her.
I would be, like, even more pissed about my dragons lying to me. Like, shouldn't she have gotten a little orientation 101?
Oh, yeah. That's fucked.
Yeah. And at least the dragons are better than Xaden, because they're like, yeah, we fucked up. Like, we should have told you. That's our bad. And Xaden's like, technically, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you the full truth.
I've never lied to you. Okay.
Which, again, he just picked up in his little, like, tiny black notebook of bad boy lines.
I know. Like, if you, listener, are currently thinking about omitting the truth from someone and, like, justifying it to yourself because you're not lying to them directly, just know it's never worked on anyone in the entire existence of humanity. It's a lie. It's just a lie.
Is there anything else you want to get off your chest right now, Will?
No, this isn't even about that.
Also, I think that what's happening around this time is that the rebel squad is basically realizing that the government has set up this entire situation so that they all get murdered.
Yes. So that's what happens next. Basically, Violet, she is agog and aghast, but thanks, I think, in part to Dad's letter, she honestly kind of locks it up and is like, look, I have to process some shit later.
Yeah.
But there's like a kind of imminent crisis. Let's deal with that. And she's like still obviously in love with him, because she just kind of lets slip all these little lines. She's like, I need you to survive, even though I hate that I love you. So she's like really going through it. So they go to the Wee Dragon outpost where they were supposed to be assigned, and it's abandoned, which is weird. And some boy named Garrick, who I have not paid any attention to,
Xaden's best friend,
brings a letter that was left there, and the letter is from Dane's dad. And the letter basically is like, survive if you can. And I was like kind of confused by it, but it appears to basically be a test of loyalty. Either the group can leave the town and go to where the actual war games are happening. They've got like a new destination. Or they can stay to help protect the town, potentially die, and presumably demonstrate that they are indeed traitors.
Which...
And Dino, would you like to explain how they may have figured out what was going on?
Yeah. So Xaden and crew, like you said, helping the Griffin Riders fight the bigger evil threat. I guess Violet didn't know that, but she knew places where they were going in the middle of the night. Like she had conversations with Xaden about places that they were going and some like secret things that they were doing. And fucking Dane would be like expressing concern for her and cupping her fucking face and stole her memories without her consent and then gave them to his little daddy.
Yeah.
So hashtag no more fucking justice for Dane.
Rach, do you have any defense of your boy?
I mean, I do, but like at this point, I just feel like I've really been intimidated and censored and silenced.
No, we welcome.
You have to speak.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, listen, I'm JK. I'm JK about my Dane thing, but I will say in his defense that he thinks that they're rebels.
Right. Yeah. It's especially bad because I think maybe the time that it happened was at the party.
Yeah.
He like cups her face and he's like, don't worry, I'll make a distraction. So it's like even in the moment in which he was being a good boy, he was
manipulating her.
Yeah. Okay. We'll kind of speed through this end here because it's just like action on action.
Battle.
Yeah, basically. So these Venom come, they're like super powerful. The Griffin Riders come back and they try and get the dragon people to leave because they're so powerful they're all going to die. Like the Griffin people are getting ready to die. And they're like, you don't have to die. Of course, our heroes are like, no, like we must die to save these people. So they go, they like try and save the population of the town that's nearby. The Venom use magic differently. They like draw magic from living things, which makes them very powerful and means that, you know, like the grass is dying around them, I think.
Yeah. Which, can I just say, I think there's some theories about, because I think like when the Venom take things from the ground, it kind of drains the color out of them. Mm-hmm. And there are some theories about Violet's hair. Mm-hmm. The color is always drained out of at the end, which is why it looks silver. That there's going to be some connection between her and the Venom at some point.
Okay.
Right? And her, you know, her mom, like, apparently, like, got really sick at some point when she was pregnant. I don't know. I'm just saying there's maybe some kind of thing happening that we'll find out about in a later book.
Okay. Yeah, that seems quite plausible. So, yeah, so they're fighting the Venom. The Venom have their own dragon creatures. Like, they create these wyverns.
Wyverns. Again, well, read fucking Throne of Glass and you would know this. But yes, wyverns only have 2 legs. That's the difference. The dragons have 4 legs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and they are they kind of feel like animated corpses. Like if you killed the person who created them, they all just like fall out of the sky immediately.
It's very much giving White Walkers. You need the special daggers. You kill the one who made them.
Yeah.
And they all collapse.
Yeah, it's sort of exactly giving White Walkers the more you talk about it. And there's like a chief bad guy. Who's that like? Anyway.
Well, listen, these things there's always a hierarchy, isn't there?
Yeah. I found the battle sequence even harder to follow than normal because there's just like everyone's flying. There's like a lot going on.
No, it's harder when they're flying for sure. Because it's like, this is going to sound really obvious, but there's 3 dimensions instead of 2. It's like who's above and below and on around. And
I already can't picture things in my head. So some brief highlights. One, you know, our girl is coming into her own her lightning power. She's just dashing them with lightning left and right, but she's also still kind of bad at aiming, so she misses a lot of the time.
Yeah.
There are a fair number of good guy deaths. Some girl named Soliel, and most affectingly, at an appropriate interlude, it's very sad. We also lose our sweet boy
Yeah.
Liam. And he dies in like the saddest way, which is his dragon dies. And so there's like a 5 to 10 minute interlude in which everyone knows that Liam is about to die too, including Liam.
It's fucked.
Which is just like,
Yeah.
that always gets me. For some reason, it really made me think of E.T.
And they're like carrying him through the...
E.T. and the boy are both dying in like the beds next to each other or whatever. For some reason, that's what it was giving me.
Oh, that's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the saddest moment in all of cinema. So he dies, and it's super sad. And with his last words, he's like, watch out for my sister when she comes to the school. And I want to be like, lol, the government knows you're a traitor. Like, you think they're going back to school, but it's fine. Presumably we'll meet her at some point. So we manage, I think, to fight off all the bad guys, but in the course of so doing, as Rachel would say, Violet goes toe-to-toe with Xaden, who stabs her with a poisoned blade.
Oh, yeah.
And we sort of fade to black alongside Violet as the good guys win, but she loses consciousness. And then we get to the last chapter of the book, which is from Xaden's point of view.
Which Rachel loves.
Do you want to speak on it?
No, I just think it, well, I know, and then I continue to speak. It is reminding me, and I don't know if we should say it, but it's reminding me of...
No, Rach, don't say it out loud.
Say it out loud.
I know what you're going to say.
Say it out loud.
A certain sequel to The Vampire and the Wings of Night.
To another book that we've covered on this podcast.
It's like...
Yeah.
No, because it's like, he's like going through, he's like, all the time, like, every single, like, moment that I loved her, and when she did this and that, like, I loved her so much, and I was obsessed with her, and I'm like, no, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know? I did want to know.
Not like that. Nope. It's cringe festival for me.
Because a boy has feelings?
No, it's just like, I don't want to be told, like, in that way.
Gotcha.
It's like, oh yeah, it turns out all this time I was so in love with her, blah blah blah, everything that she did. It's like I don't really like it when she's telling me that either.
Yeah.
It's like a little less tell,
a little
maybe
more
a little more show, you know.
Is this, I feel like maybe, is this sort of what you're saying? I find that when this happens, it just lets all the tension loose.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
When it's from her perspective, you're like, oh, what does Xaden think?
Yeah.
Right.
I will say I still am not confused, but I think there's hopefully still more to share in the sense that there's things that he says of like, you've been mine longer than you even know, or like, I've loved you. Like, there's like more there that we don't know about still, I think. But I hear you on that, like total loosening of the tension.
Yeah, and this is book 1, so.
I will say we've had to tolerate male authors writing two-dimensional female characters for like all of eternity. So maybe it's actually a step forward for womankind and equality if women authors write.
Yes.
So Xaden is tending to unconscious Violet, who wakes up and learns that she is in
District 13.
Basically, yeah.
secretly being rebuilt city of
Tyr?
Tyrandor.
Anyway, they're in the city that was burned to the ground because it's where all the rebels were from.
Yeah.
It's being secretly rebuilt. How Xaden has been able to do this and with what money, maybe we'll find out in a later book.
We'll find out.
There are various lingering unknowns, I would say. One that I noted that I couldn't tell if this was just like tossed in there to like patch up a wee plot hole. The reason why apparently the rebel children aren't allowed to gather in groups of 3 or more is because the general who has like prophetic abilities can't see the future when 3 of them are together.
Yeah, I think something when they got their relics, it's like magic and spell work, and there's some kind of
But like, why?
consequence of that.
Was it his dragon who did that, maybe? Like his dragon gave them their relics or something? I don't know. It feels a little, this is, you know, I think every fantasy author is like so excited about stopping time or seeing the future or something. And I just think it's like real.
It's real hard to tie
it's
up.
Like impossible to do it basically.
And like set the boundaries
So-
you need to ensure the plot moves forward, but that it's not like, hello, this would just solve everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, a younger me used to sort of delight in poking the plot holes that come. This happens in like sci-fi a lot too, like time travel or something. Be like, this makes no fucking sense. But in my maturity, I'm like, you're just gonna, you could do that.
And
all day.
world building's
You just
hard.
accept it and
World
move
building's
on.
hard.
You just have to
Yeah.
accept it and move on.
I've never built a world. Who am I to, cast stones?
It must be sad. I haven't
Yeah.
either.
Well, you've built your roller coaster worlds.
Oh, yeah, that's true, Rach. You
That's
have.
true.
So Violet wakes. She's like, I remember fucking everything. Before I talk to you, like, you need to leave and I need a bath, which
Fair.
is fair. And she takes a bath. And then she lets him back in. And she's basically like, I'm kind of down with the rebellion. Like, it's fucked up. The government's been keeping this a secret, but I'll never trust you again. And he's like, you're in love with me, so you will. And he just kind of keeps telling her that she's in love with him, which I don't think is wrong, but kind of weird vibes.
I think he has faith in them, and he's just being a little weird about it.
Yeah. And finally, the book ends with big reveal. Turns out she was healed from the poison by a master healer. Who could that be? Her older brother, Brennan, who's alive this whole time.
Brennan.
Dead brother is not dead.
Thrown in his lot with enemies of the state.
Yep.
And presumably we'll take it from there when the next book comes out. I don't know, tomorrow, whenever it comes out.
Yeah, I will say, were you guys... Like, I was legit super surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like no reason to expect that he was living after the book told us he was dead.
A lot of times.
That was a not an omission, just a straight up lie.
Oof, yeah.
So I wonder how she's gonna feel about that.
Yeah.
So we got the classic, by the way. Classic setup, because it's like, obviously, they got together, they kind of love each other, yakety schmack, and now it's like, oh, we got a reason. Next half of the book, it's gonna take us probably at least half of the book to get to fucking and shuck.
Oh, God. Yeah, we gotta earn trust
We
back.
gotta be all like, I don't trust you anymore.
Which, let us not forget, Rach, that you were looking forward to that with Serpent. You said enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers.
Yeah, no, this is classic.
Just taking another turn around the enemies to lovers ring.
Not exactly enemies to lovers. Yeah, it's like betrayal trope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were with the bad guys, or the bad guys are the good guys, but you betrayed me trope.
It's a Venn diagram.
Yeah, it's a classic. It could be good. We'll see.
It could be good.
But I am curious, who else is a part of this rebel thing? Is there a whole District 13 with new authorities? Is there going to be weird power struggles there? Number two, what does Mira know and not know? What does her mom know and not know?
It's going to be Mira and Violet they're going to have to square off for a while.
Yeah.
On the battlefield or something.
Right. Like maybe one day Mira's going to come over the right side, but not yet.
Oof, yeah. Also, this is a big one. Everybody's like, they're probably going to have to go back to school, and how is that going to work?
I mean, maybe, you know what? Maybe it's like
kind of Hogwarts. It's like, how could they go back after this?
I bet they'll stage something so that it's like she was kidnapped.
they'll make it so that like Violet was taken.
And then she'll go back as like a spy, and she's gonna have to she won't know who to trust.
Right.
She's gonna find evidence in the library, even though the library was supposed to be purged, but she's gonna find the evidence.
Yeah, she's going to have to be double agent.
I bet that is what happens, honestly. I would put money at that.
Yeah, which, to be honest, I think it should be.
So we'll have to see pretty soon.
Yeah, November 7th, which I personally will be counting down until.
I'm excited. Hopefully they fired the lady who did the audiobook.
Otherwise, Rachel, I will just I will voice memo you this whole book.
I need somebody to read it to me. I'm sorry. Maybe one of our listeners there could be like a Google form and like everybody could sign up for shifts. That would actually be great. Can we do that? So anyways, I am excited. It'll shock you, but I'm excited to see what happens next.
Well, this was great. I think this was a fun little experiment with shortening the format. I think we would like to do some of these in the future. So if you have ideas about other little snacks, little 3-4 ep snacks we could do of books, send them our way.
Yeah, you gotta tell us.
You gotta let us know. But before we get to any new books, we will be dipping.
CC2!
Oh, God, thank God. You guys, can I just say the torture that I have been put through because I read House of Sky and Breath weeks ago, and I read it in 48 hours, and I kept trying to text Will and Rachel about it, and they were like, no.
You have to save
Save it for the pod. Gotta save it for the pod. And so I have been silenced for weeks.
Yep.
You have been.
And now, finally, I can discuss, like, the list of things in my notes app that have been driving me crazy. So, get excited, folks.
It's going to be so good.
Oh,
Chills. I'm so excited. And with that, y'all, we will see you next week for House of Sky and Breath, baby.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.